Welcome everybody back to Veil of Sound. Our regular video interview Sunday is here just for you. And I am very here to present not one, not two, no, four members of a band that some people like to call a supergroup. I would say they're a super group. So I'm very, very happy to have False Fat here on the show with us. Thanks for joining, guys.
Nice to meet you, sir.
Hello.
What's up, guys?
So, I mean, everybody should know a few of you guys, maybe all of them, but maybe just say who does what in the band, you know, just for the uninitiated.
That's JP. JP plays bass. Hello. I'm back in vocals.
I'm back in vocals. Bass and backing vocals.
The BBs. I'm Stig. I play guitar.
I'm Roy Mayorga. I play drums.
Now, somebody should say something about Jeff, guys. Not okay. The other guy is Jeff, and he sings.
Oh,
That guy.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention. Sorry.
This is Jack. How rude of me. I'm sorry. This is Jack.
You left yourself out,
The singer.
Yeah, JP is just so nervous, you know, because he's the youngest amongst all of them.
Is JJ's earthy baritone, man?
The maestro.
Yeah. And we just quickly do the name dropping, okay? So everybody who doesn't know any of these guys, check out Amebix, check out Nausea, Ministry, Soulfly. And I won't even start with all the projects that Roy has been in because I looked it up on Discogs and it took me like 5 minutes to scroll down. But otherwise, Discharge, Psygodi. So these guys, ladies and gentlemen, they are, I know they won't admit it, but we got some legends amongst us. And as it is very often the case with legends, most of them come back weak. But you guys, you came up with a record on October 13th. I mean, like, this will be shown in December, but on October 13th, you released a record that is unbelievably urgent. And it's amazing. So where does the urgency come from after decades in the business?
Who would like to answer that one?
The oldest one first.
For me, I don't look at it as urgency. It's just something that, you know, we all love to do. We all love to play music, and we had the opportunity to work together, and we just went for the opportunity and situation and made some music, you know, during the whole lockdown, you know. That's how it started.
But you guys do understand what I mean with urgency, right?
I mean, define urgency in what way?
First of all, it's no weak ass, let's do some Americana country shit. Like a lot of people.
I don't think we have any of that in our DNA to write anything like that. It's just what you hear is basically what comes out of the hands and the head, and that's it, you know.
I mean, are you talking about urgency musically? Are you talking about urgency in the fact that it needed to come out now? What do you mean by urgency?
For me, urgency in this case is, first of all, the music. Second of all, the topics that you guys are talking about. So I think there is a lot of criticism in it about the way that our little planet is spinning at the moment.
Yeah,
and musically,
you know, there's a lot of social commentary in there, you know.
Yeah.
There's a lot of personal stuff in there. A lot of them songs are kind of personal songs as well. But yeah, there's a few songs in there. I mean, you know, it's not all fucking. It's not all urgency and about social critique and all that. You know, a few of it is. You know, some of it, but not all of it.
Yeah.
Some of it's just like personal demons and stuff like that.
I think another good point to make is that some of these lyrics were written a couple of years ago now, but the world is still in a similar place. So as these songs are coming out, although they might have been started with different meanings, like the listeners are attaching it to things that they're seeing on the television and things, which isn't a bad thing at all. It's really cool, but that's happening a lot of the time as well. So a lot of the songs, I think, JJ, if you agree, have like separate meanings going on maybe to different people.
Of course, and it's always, you know, open to interpretation, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, not everyone's going to know exactly what I'm talking about, you know, and they can interpret it any, you know, they can interpret it any way they like, as long as it doesn't make them go like shoot up a school or something.
Although we have to say that there are a few songs where I think it's very clear what you're talking about. I mean, like, think of a song like "The Tyrant Dies." It's pretty clear, you know, that is very, very critical.
What do you think The Tyrant Dies is about?
When you ask me, of course, like, first of all, it's about the tyrant, aka the machine, the system, whatever we want to call it. I mean, like, already the lines in there, you know, we rise, we will rise, we will get up, you know, we will not stand up and take the things that are thrown at us. That's what I think The Tyrant Dies is about. At the same time, of course, it could also be a very personal thing, and it could be talking about two people in a relationship, and you know, one of them.
Yeah, you could. I think
it's kind of about having some. It's kind of about having some hope in a hopeless world. You know, sometimes things feel hopeless at times. It's not always hopeless, but you know, it's just keeping that hope going and always striving for something better.
Yeah.
That's a fair comment. You need some hope, especially in these times at the moment. If you don't have any hope, then you're kind of in hell, aren't you? Really, you need to.
Then you got. There's no point. Might as well just fucking kill yourself.
You know what I mean? I think it's a pretty hopeful record. Really, a lot of people say it's dark, and I don't really feel it's that dark. I feel it's got elements of hope, and you know, we will prevail and all that kind of feel about it. Anyway, I don't know.
Totally agree with you on that one, Stick. I think, you know, it's not a record which is lamenting or sad or, oh my God, everything is so bad. It's like, okay, there is a lot of bad things, but if we get off of our arses, then we can change something.
Right.
Indeed, yeah.
Is that something that would be the optimum of an effect that the record could have on the listener, in your opinion?
In my opinion, yeah, that would be a great effect. That would be you know, I was thinking about this the other. We're kind of like the last kind of generation that really thought we could make art that would actually make a difference in the real world, you know. And I still feel that it's possible. We make good enough art that it somehow, in some way, manifests in the three-dimensional somehow, you know, in people's mind and their spirit. They have this thing, and it's almost like kind of a healing, a kind of protection for them. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it anyway. It's kind of a spiritual, I guess, in that way.
Spiritual in a way that it doesn't... Yeah, in the way that it tries to lift your spirits, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, that's the kind of effect we hope to have with anyone, that with anything that we put out there, you know, that's what you hope for at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you want people to feel good about it.
Yes. Although we also have to admit that there is a lot of crazy ass shit out there which doesn't try to make people happy and get off their arse, you know. But I guess that is nothing that would be appealing to make for you, right? So it's like, that is in what you've mentioned before. That is your DNA, isn't it?
Well, it's kind of what gives me motivation personally, you know, that kind of stuff. And it's just, you know, to me, it's all like a challenge, you know what I mean? It's kind of just fighting back against that challenge, you know?
Is that also a challenge for yourself nowadays after years?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's always going to be struggle. It's always going to be a fight, you know what I mean? And it's just you know, it's just a kind of a yearning for some creativity and some freedom, you know what I mean? Because we just lose it all the time, you know? I think, you know, at the end of the day, after all is said and done with like protest music and protest songs and stuff like that, it's all about freedom. That's the end goal, you know, and that's what we want.
to gain that little bit of freedom for us, ourselves, our families, our circle of friends, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, just to be able to think for yourself. You can, people can't even think for themselves anymore. You're just told what to think now.
Do you think that nowadays,
whether it's through social media or
Yeah.
the media or social media or what have you, it's just.
Well, social media is definitely the biggest influence of what's going on today. All the negative things that are going on today. Not for nothing. I mean, it's a good thing to have, but it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. May I quickly ask, how active are you guys on social media?
I'm pretty active.
Do our part.
I mean, these days you kind of have to have a presence out there in order to, keep yourself, known and seen. You have to do it. Especially in our field, what we do.
Yeah.
You do have to engage.
Content is king.
With it a bit. Yeah, content is king, and you do have to engage a little bit with that. You don't want it to take over your whole life, though. So all you're doing is getting this propagandized input of negative shit and hopelessness all day long. You know what I mean? So this is our kind of propaganda going the other way. That there could be some hope.
That is also reflected in the record title, right? Let them eat fake.
Basically, yeah. That's just it, that's exactly it.
Yeah. I think we can all be a victim of like the algorithm, can't we? So if you start searching for things that might have a bit of a negative effect on you, and a particular social media platform thinks you like viewing that content, it's going to give you more of that, isn't it? So then you just fall into this trap of your algorithm. Whereas if you can go out there and look for some positivity, the algorithm's going to give you more of that. And I think a lot of people can fall into a
algorithm
trap. Yeah.
So all you kids out there, think outside the algorithm.
Ooh.
Algorithm.
Even though you're probably watching this on the algorithm at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes, right. Yeah. I'm speaking against
you cannot afford the
algorithm right now.
Yeah.
We are the algorithm.
But I know what you mean. But at the same time, we also, I mean, like, for me, sometimes the algorithm is also not just for Veil of Sound, but also for me personally. Sometimes I'm very, very happy that after years of feeding my ideas and thoughts about the world into the algorithm via comments and whatever, at least I don't have to watch the same right-wing party shit all the time that other people have in their bubble, because it would make me go crazy. So at one point, social media is a good thing, definitely. But at the other point, it's something that I see as a teacher every day. Like, I have students who confess to me that they spend like easily 3.5, 4 hours on social media every day.
Wow.
And then they complain like, oh, I don't understand what you're teaching me in history.
Yeah, because your attention span only runs for like 5 seconds. That's it. Yeah, you got so used to being fed these little gobbets of information, you can't take in anything that's longer than a couple of seconds long. You just like scroll, it's gone. Next.
Yeah.
The next little hit of whatever, you want a little bit of serotonin, give you a bit of a blast onto the next thing. And that's where we are now with social media and the internet in general, is that normal life is not good enough anymore. It's not augmented enough. It's not bright enough. It's not shiny enough. It's not loud enough or in your face enough. So like, it's kind of hard to be able to, you can see a lot of young people particularly are they're unable to just sit down and have a conversation without fucking on their phones all the time. They're unable to just sit down. You have a whole generation of kids that actually don't know how to interact in a social situation at all.
Yeah, and then also the way that, let's be clear. I mean, like the things that our children see on the web, it's not even reality, apart from the fact that most of it is advertisement. Let's be clear about that. But, like when they see content, they often forget that most of what they see is not the real person, because there is a certain filter thrown over the image. There is a certain photoshopping here, a little bit there. That is something that they have to understand. And that's also something that is very difficult to teach, I think.
Even when you see something like someone's caught this supposedly random event of someone doing something, and you think, okay, it's a random event. So who was filming that random event with this camera set up there, waiting for this random event to happen, whatever that might be? You know what I mean? Then people have forgotten there's even a camera there. They feel like they're actually looking at something happening in front of them.
Yeah. As if by watching it, they confirm its real nature.
Yeah, validity. Yeah, it gives it validness.
So, but that, to make it clear, that is what you partially mean with fake. I mean, like also when one looks at the record cover, you know, it looks very consumeristic.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, basically just absorbing false information. Being false fed. Yeah, it's being false fed information in the cover of the album.
And just overloaded with stuff. Too much stuff. Too much exterior bullshit in your head to even know who you are anymore. You're just blasted with this stuff all day long. From the moment you get up in the morning to the moment you go to sleep, you're blasted with fears. What if? This is happening, that's happening. You know, before the internet, you wouldn't even know what anything was happening unless you happened to sit in front of the TV all day long and buy every single newspaper and just devour it. And then you would have some kind of idea, but all this is in short second bursts, and it's not even to educate you. It's not to do anything good. It's just to fill you full of fucking fear. And that's what it's for. That's the purpose it's serving. It's just to make you afraid and small and feel hopeless and that you can't do anything and that the world is a fucking crazy place. Which it probably is.
Isn't that exactly what not only the media are trying, but also like politicians? I mean, like everybody, you know, that accent that you hear from some of the guys, that's not fake. They're British, you know. So there are some Brits, you know. Stick, where are you from?
Me, I'm from the UK. Yeah.
Yeah. See, so and you will see where I'm heading. You know, that sense of insecurity, of fear. We're not only fed that shit from the media, we're also fed that shit from the people who supposedly should be working for us. And that then results in some of the worst decisions ever. I'll just say Brexit.
Oh, Brexit, yeah, you can say Brexit. Say Brexit as much as you like, man. Brexit. Yeah. Well, that's a kind of, if you think about that, so I always thought that was a core tapping into the basic xenophobia in people. Yeah. Really? The human fear of the other, you know? So that's a deep thing to get into. And that's some real psychological, deep stuff that they've got into that. Okay, we know that deep down people are afraid of people from other countries and they feel all insecure about it. Maybe we can get them to just do this.
Yeah, I think Brexit definitely showed a lot of people's true colors, didn't it?
It did. Yeah, it did. As did the whole pandemic.
Yeah.
That really showed you who was who. Really.
Yeah. Or also the refugee crisis of 2015, you know, with millions of people coming. Yeah, definitely. And it's interesting when you say it like that, Stick, you know, that it's hard to realize that you're being manipulated, but it's very easy to manipulate. I mean, like, think about Farage and all the shit that he said about the NHS, you know, like, we have to pay the European Union so much. Okay.
Yeah.
And that is strange. And that at the same time is also something where I say, like, the people who are responsible for stuff like Brexit, for stuff like denying the pandemic and shit like that, there should be a possibility to lawfully prosecute them, because, you know, some of the worst decisions ever.
People should still be able to have freedom of speech. I mean, I'll stand up for people's freedom of speech, even if I don't like what they're saying. Yeah. People should be able to say what they feel is on their mind and what they feel to be the truth. But there are a lot of things you see online of people just repeating a line they've heard somewhere else, because people have lost any kind of original thought, or being able to think for themselves, or make their own decisions, or make their own minds up about things without something prompting them this way or that, or pushing them this way and that. You know, and that's kind of where we are now, and that's where people are so easy to manipulate now. We're in a situation where you have more information than ever, and people are thick as shit, man, dumber than they've ever been, you know. And you had all this information because it's too much information to make sense of, you know.
Is that also in a way the background to a song like Mass Debate? You know, our inability to really have a discussion?
That'll be JJ's territory right there, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's just basically about, you know, the great divide, you know, because of things like Brexit, because of, excuse me, like what was going on at the time in the States with Donald Trump, and, you know, this party versus that party. And it just, everything was like just a fucking great divide. And that's, you know, and it never gets anywhere. It never gets anywhere. So
it also never gets anywhere because both sides don't talk to each other, right?
Yeah, there's definite lack of communication there. You know, people just aren't interested. People got blindfolds on, you know what I mean? You could present people with the truth, hang a fucking truth in front of their face, and they still just don't want to believe it. You know, they just want to ignore the whole thing because they've got their own narrative to things. You know, they've got their morals, they've got their values. They're going to believe what they want to believe. And this is why I kind of stopped arguing with people about like political fucking issues and stuff, because it just, you're not going to change the person. You know what I mean? Some people are just cut from a different cloth altogether. You know what I mean? It's like, you could just say some people are intelligent enough to have a discussion, but a lot of people aren't. You know, some people, like I said, you could just present people with facts and all sorts of things, but they've got their point of view, and they're going to stick with their point of view because that fits how they want to see it. You know,
we have more of that now because of our cancel culture. You just say something, you'll just get cancelled. So no one even wants to have the debate in the first place. You say something someone doesn't agree with, you're cancelled.
Yeah, it's like
whether it's true or not, you know. And that isn't a good thing. Even you know, something like, you know, everyone's saying, "Oh, it's great that Twitter cancelled Trump." I don't think it was, even though I don't like Trump. I think he should be able to have his bigoted voice, whether or not you agree with it or not. Everyone should be able to say their thing, and everyone should be able to, you know, listen to each other and at least make some.
That's the thing. He doesn't listen to anybody.
No, he doesn't.
That is the thing.
Yeah. But still, should he be cancelled?
I listen to me, only me.
Yeah, I listen to my inner voice. But the thing is, if you start cancelling people like Trump, where else do you start cancelling people? You're going to start, you know, you go, oh, great, Trump got cancelled. Yeah, cool, Trump is an asshole. But where does that stop? When you stop silencing people's voices?
Yeah, I know what you mean. But here again, like the history and politics teacher comes into play. And I have to say, when you try to agitate people and lead them into discriminating others by using your own voice, then there comes the point where I say, like, okay, your very own personal freedom of speech is a bad thing because you try to incite anger, xenophobia.
I get what you're saying there. Yeah.
But that's where responsibility comes in.
Kind of ruined it for everyone, pretty much. I mean,
yeah.
And that whole cancel culture thing, that's here to stay. That's not going anywhere. It's only going to get worse. Our freedom of speech is going to be slowly just diminishing and taken away everywhere.
Sadly true.
That's what's going to happen, and it's unfortunate, but I think that's what's going to happen. There's no going backwards to how it was.
Yeah,
exactly. And the thing is, nowadays, I mean, like, for everybody who wants total transparency, we're recording this on October 18th, so 11 days after the Hamas attacks on Israel. And to be clear, I'm totally against any kind of attack from either side. And I also denounce the Hamas for doing that. But there are points on the Palestinian side where I say, I can agree, or I can not agree. I can see where they're coming from. You know, like if you build the biggest ghetto in the world by encircling Gaza with a huge wall, people will react at one point or another.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, it doesn't justify their actions, right? So, but that, you know, I'm very sure I will get shit for that sentence, but
Well,
cares?
yeah. Who cares?
You're canceled.
You're cancelled.
Yes.
You're going to get cancelled.
Let's cancel this show right now. Let's talk about the music for a moment, because I think the
Great
music
idea.
because I think the music on the record is really, really interesting. I've read genreifications for this all over the place. I've had people saying, okay, this is industrial, and others they're like, oh, there are bits of gothic rock in there. But am I right when I say, like, a lot of the music is based on your guys' love for a certain dark version of post-punk?
I guess
No.
it just kind of, I don't think we really put any thought on how it was going to come out. We just kind of got together and just let it happen, you know, and it just, we don't really,
but you can understand the comparison, right?
Yeah, the thing is, that's in the background, that's what we're all into. Yeah, we all love that music, and we grew up with that. It just came out that way, you know, and we just kind of went with it and didn't like fight it, and just kind of went with it.
Don't fight it.
You can riffs. I mean,
yeah, there was no talk. There was no discussions about how we were going to sound. We didn't say, oh, let's be a goth band or an industrial band or a post-punk band or fucking this band. You know, we made music, and that's what happened. That's, you know, it's simple as that's what come out.
Does it sound good? Yeah, this is
whatever it sounds like, you know. And to be honest, you know, I kind of don't want to be shoved into any particular genre with this band, because that, again, that's like we just want the freedom to make music that we enjoy to make and play, and, you know, something that sounds good regardless of what category it's going to fit into, you know.
And honestly, it's to be honest, it's an honest record. There's no bullshit in it. We really meant everything we played on it, you know, and we took our time with it, you know.
I guess first of all, it's clear that no musician ever wants to be put into a box, because, you know, what we as the audience hear is a result of very often years of a process, right? So it's usually a long time in the making. So of course, nobody wants his 2 years to be stuffed into maybe a shoe-sized box, of course. But when I look at it from the other perspective, you've already mentioned, you know, whatever sounds good, sounds good. This kind of open attitude, I think that was what's important to you, right? To give everything a try, as long as it sounds good.
Yeah.
Was that also sometimes hard during the
regardless of genre process? You know, we should be able to play what we like. Excuse me?
No, you go on, JJ.
No, what was the question? So I missed that.
The question was that openness, this, you know, anything goes kind of mentality, was that at some point or another maybe also a little problem in the songwriting process?
Well, we weren't going to bust out some country and western, if you know what I mean. But
we weren't going to go there.
There were limitations to the anything goes idea. I mean, it just came out. It came out.
We've all got our own style. We've all got our own thing that we do, and we've just put it all together in a pot.
Yeah, it started pretty
together
simple,
and a pot. That's interesting.
Yeah, and we mixed it around.
Cooking with JJ.
Cooking with JJ. Yeah. I put some mung beans in there, man.
It wasn't a complicated
you wanted to
process.
say something.
It wasn't a complicated process, except for the fact that we weren't all in the same room. We did this all via internet. And it started with just you know, listening to what these guys were writing. These guys had a bunch of songs with demoed with guitar and some scratch vocals, a scratch bass, and a drum machine. They sent it to me, and I took it all away, played to the guitars and click, sent it back to them. They retracted the drums, sent it back and forth. This went on for what, a year, something like that.
Yeah, but it was going on for a bit before we even got Roy involved. We were sitting writing all these things, and kind of either JP would send a bass riff with a kind of with his own program drums that he'd written, or I'd use some drummer app or whatever just for something to play along to, so it could move along. You could feel like you had a drummer pushing it along. And then we kind of had these outlines, and you know, verse, chorus, middle eights, and stuff like that, all kind of mapped out, and kind of arranged these things like that. And so even the demos sounded pretty good, you know.
Yeah, the demos were great.
Yeah, they needed that professional feel to them, but they were sounding pretty good as demos, so we knew where we were going already with that. So that was
yeah. They just needed a professional guitar player, right?
Professionalism. So what's that?
They needed a professional.
They just needed a professional guitar player.
So we thought we'd in lieu of that, we just got Roy.
It was definitely an interesting process, though. I've never made a record like that with anybody, you know. And like I said, we weren't in the same room once recording any of this. Those guys were, but I was never in the same room with any of them.
No, we weren't. We weren't in the same room once either. We weren't in the same room.
Oh.
No,
okay.
This was all like file sharing to start off with.
One day we'll get together and play.
Yeah, no, we've never been in the same room once with instruments or amps. Put it that way. We've been in the same room a couple of times, but that's just to have our photos taken.
Yeah, like photo shoots and stuff, wasn't
it?
Yeah. I've only just met
2024.
I've only just met JJ last year by chance at a Hellfest festival when I was there with Ministry. We met each other in a hotel lobby, which was like amazing. JP, we've never met in person yet. It's crazy.
Hopefully one day it will change.
Yeah, so you bring me to a question. You know, like, is there a chance of seeing False Fat on stage at some point or another?
We're actually going to be discussing this later.
You can just do this right here, right now. You know, we got time.
No. The plan is we're planning on actually talking about it after this interview,
which is cool.
Yeah, we want to play. We want to do this. Yeah.
So I mean, like, hopefully, I mean, like, as I said, this will be published in December, so maybe by then we already know something. Anyway, to make it clear, I'm not asking just, you know, for curiosity's sake, but also because I think that stuff needs to be on stage, you know. Like, I mean, of course, it's only 30 minutes, so you got to play the record twice to fill an hour. But anyway,
let's go back to the beginning.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
You could throw a couple of cover songs in there or whatever just to fill out the stage time. Who knows? Talk about it.
But I to make it clear, that is something that I would love to see on stage. You know, like the sound.
There's a 10-minute bass solo.
Yeah,
well, that's my way to the loo at that moment, right?
Thanks.
Come back when it's over.
Derek's
mine as well.
Solo, like in Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
Oh, it's JP. He wrote this.
Yes. Let's have a couple. You know,
he's got merch in the back, CDs. He's playing bass.
Yeah. But to be clear, you know, it would be awesome to see you guys on stage all together, because I think if there is one thing that this record shows is that there is a huge vibe that the four of you share. It's really cool. I like that. I have one like 2 or 3 more questions, but one that really struck me. The last song on the record, the one thing, I mean, like, first of all, it's the shortest one, 2:30, something like that. How did it come that you ended with something that is as close to a ballad that I could imagine you guys doing together?
Yeah, well, Stig come up with that music, and I just thought it just sounded amazing. You know, it was just like kind of nearly made me cry when I heard it. But
That was what it was supposed to
no,
do.
it was really like, you know, I was like, wow, this is fucking great. And literally, you know, right at the same time, I was reading a lot of like Victorian death poems, like death poetry from the Victorian era. And the lyrics to that song were partly inspired by that, and also some real life things that were going on, you know, during the pandemic, and you know, people I lost personally, and had some health issues at the time and everything. So, you know, death was kind of like a bit of a reality creeping in for me.
As you've just mentioned, the pandemic, JJ, is or was this record, were these songs for you in a way your little escape from all the darkness, all the bleakness around you?
I think for all of us.
Well, it definitely helped, didn't it? You know, it was, I mean, although we started this before the pandemic, I mean, like literally right before the pandemic, we started doing this, but it definitely gave us something, you know, to put all our energy into and to focus on, and have something, you know, have something to look forward to, because there was nothing, you know, everything was just so hopeless at the time. And you know, it was a really good thing that we all were able to do this, because I mean, if I didn't have something to work on, I probably would have just went nuts, you know, being locked in the house all day.
Yeah, the idea, like I say, to actually do something, like we spoke about it for a while, didn't we? And then, like I say, the pandemic came into effect, and they were saying, oh, you know, you got to stay in your houses and stuff like that. And then it was like thankfully, like I just downloaded like this free kind of DAW on my laptop, and I was like, I'm gonna start recording. That was about 3 days before COVID came in, and I hadn't got a clue what I was doing, but I was like sending little ideas out to JJ and stuff like that, and then we were starting to build something from there. So it was pre-pandemic, but the pandemic did help, because we didn't have to go to like do normal stuff, didn't have to go to work for 8 hours a day or anything like that. We could sit there with ideas, like JJ obviously reading a lot of books at the time and things like that. So it was nice conditions artistically,
Perfect.
in a personal sense. It was horrible that we couldn't all be together to do it, but yeah, I think it did help to form the sound, definitely.
A bit like being stuck on a desert island, really, isn't it? You know, that kind of isolation. And we've all had a lot of death and upset during this whole thing. You know, I've lost a lot of friends due to, you know, like terrible things like depression and loneliness, and just the lack of being able to connect with other people was very. It took its toll on people. Took its toll on people a lot. Yeah.
Is this record in a way? Is this record in a way a reversed island record? You know, where you could get your mind off of things?
Well, it's a kind of transmutation of a very dark period of time, and making some kind of hope and light come out of that. I think, to sum it up in that way.
Yeah.
Anywhere could be a prison, right?
Oh yeah.
That's
anyway,
true, very true.
And the worst prisons are the one that we choose ourselves, right?
There you go.
That's true. Yeah.
Praise the cyber god. Called it 30 years ago.
That's true. Yeah. I still got cyber god tattoo. Yeah, right.
The plug in the hand. See?
Yeah.
Called it.
Yeah. I mean, like,
ago.
if anybody speaks about where we first saw a mobile or a smartphone, it probably was Star Trek, because I mean, remember, they were talking into this little device, and you know, it's nothing more than our smartphone.
Hey, my cousin was actually a Klingon.
You were talking to.
Honestly, Honestly, I have a relative that was in the original Star Trek.
My cousin's a Klingon.
Yeah, my cousin. My cousin
Well,
is a Klingon.
That's a great
I
sentence.
think you're weird. My cousin's a Klingon. I think you're weird.
that explains a few things.
It does, doesn't it? I've always wondered about that. Is your cousin a Klingon by any chance?
Or is your cousin's cousin a Klingon? You know,
Probably.
The cousin Romulan.
does run in the family.
Klingonism.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would be interested in is you guys are releasing the record, or you have released the record through New Rod. Just quickly, how did that come about?
I'd met Steve before, with Neurosis, and I was aware of his label and the type of bands that they put out and the type of music that they were releasing, which was all, a lot of different kind of stuff. It wasn't like your run-of-the-mill punk or metal or anything in particular. It was, I always found that label to be pretty open-minded and experimental, which was kind of, the same way False Fed was. So I just thought that label would have been a great fit for us. I got in touch with Steve, and he loved what we were doing and wanted to put it out. So the rest is history.
Yeah, and also in a way, it's for him like a little bit of a circle backwards. I know that he liked the stuff that you guys had been doing before, and I'm very sure he was very happy to get you on his roster. And in general, I think it just fits perfectly. So, guys, first of all, sorry.
He really only heard the demos to start off with, but he could obviously hear the potential in the demos because I sent him all like MP3s of this. These are the track. This is kind of the tracks and how they're going to go. And I just sent him like MP3s of the tracks, and just he could obviously kind of tell that there could be something that we re-recorded them and sorted them out a bit better. Yeah.
Then the question must be, how much of his feedback did you then take for yourself, and maybe even incorporate?
We didn't. It wasn't like that. It wasn't like
Okay.
He didn't have a creative input on that. He just was. I sent him the MP3s of the demos, so he could kind of hear the sort of thing we were doing. He didn't have like a creative input on that. That was the kind of thing we all did between us. So it wasn't like an exterior input from someone else outside.
Creative consultant. Okay.
Indeed.
So, guys, first of all, thanks for all the information and also for all the critical words. I think that's very important in our world nowadays. But of course, I cannot leave you from our little realms here at Veil of Sound without having to go through the infamous quickfire round. You get to choose, like, okay, what is more important, King Charles or his mother, or what is his name, David Cameron or James Cameron, or whatever, like AC versus DC. And as I mentioned, and everyone should give his little answer and maybe a short explanation. Bauhaus versus Susie and the Banshees.
That's bad. You can't do that.
They're not going to be easy at all. So,
what is that? Who's the best, or what?
Who would you rather listen to? Let's say right now, Bauhaus,
Susie.
I think Susie for the first album, The Scream, was a huge influence on me as a kid. I mean, there wasn't anything like that around at the time. That was an amazing record. I know a lot of people don't like it and prefer the next one that came out. I really like that record because it's had a lot of elements of things I liked in it.
Is that also the first one you listened to?
Yeah, it was the first one. I think 78 when it came out. That was a bit of an influence on me, to be honest.
One of a few good records from my birth year, definitely.
Yeah.
JP and Roy, you still have to choose.
Definitely Susie, you know, persona, stage presence. I say, you know, I love Bauhaus as well. They have some great songs, but I probably like more Susie. There's probably more Susie songs than Bauhaus songs.
I agree with the same.
But you know, they're both fucking great in different ways. You know, I never like questions like this because to me it's like artwork, and it's like trying to say which is better. And to me, it's just representative of two completely different things. But
don't worry, I think
personally,
in some ways the next ones will be a little bit easier. Where would you rather play if you had the chance? St. Vitus or CBGBs? I know it's not existing anymore, but we all know
St.
what
Vitus. CBGBs doesn't exist anymore.
CBGBs.
I've played at CBGB before. I'm sure Roy has as well. I've not played at St. Vitus, so I'm going to go with something different here. St. Vitus.
We played St. Vitus, Roy? Did we not play St. Vitus with the music?
I've been to St. Vitus. I've been in there. I've never played there, but I mean, obviously CBGB's is long gone, so St. Vitus.
Yeah. I'll go with whatever these guys say. I'm completely
St. Vitus is definitely a proper New York City club, 100%. Smells like one, feels like one, looks like one. Great.
Would you say that it has now replaced the position of CBGBs before?
It's hard to say. I mean, I haven't lived there in like 20 years, so I can't really give that opinion. I mean, there's no place like CBGB's.
Yeah.
You know.
No rotten toilet. Oh, no toilet ever as rotten.
I've been on that toilet many times, man. I've worked on and off there. I've played there many times.
I've
had my days
twice. Let's talk about open air festivals. Where would you rather play, Reading Festival or Glastonbury?
Oh God!
I've never played.
Just for the atmosphere.
I've played Glastonbury before, which is not the main stage. I played at Glastonbury back in the late 80s, very late 80s, with another band I was doing called Zygo. And Glastonbury to me these days, it's just a corporate festival. There isn't much, you know. It's more, it's not like what it was then. But festivals were a different thing then. It was much more of a dangerous, edgy thing being at a festival. Now it's peacefully kind of family friendly Disney, really, you know.
Yeah.
So,
it was safe.
Yeah, it's safe. Everything's fucking safe these days. I miss the danger sometimes.
I can see this band playing Hellfest.
Hellfest, yeah, because that's
they're a little bit more rounded. I mean, they don't only just do punk. Metal. They do metal, punk, rock. They do everything. You know. Yeah. And if it kind of like it fit more of the genres in there, it would fit better in that one. I've never played Reading or Glastonbury, so I don't know if this band would go over very well.
I think Reading's kind of strictly heavy metal, really, in that.
More
and also, like, it's a bit more strangely conservative in its
narrow-minded.
I think this band would go over more Rebellion.
Sorry, Roy, carry on.
I think Rebellion Festival would fit this band obviously a lot better.
If anybody asks me where you should play, I would say Roadburn.
Oh, Roadburn.
That'd be great too.
That would be nice. Yeah.
That was supposed to happen not long ago, but yeah.
That was another time.
What do you in general prefer as musicians? Do you rather write music or tour with your own music?
Right. Yeah, both that actually. Yeah, you kind of have to do both, to be honest. You know, because I love the performance side of it as well. But you know, I love the whole creative process of actually, you know, getting all our heads together and just coming up with something and creating this child or, you know, monster, whatever it is you're making. And but yeah, the performance side of it's great as well. You know, for the hour that you're on stage, not all the bullshit you got to do, like sitting in vans for 10 hours or something like that, or waiting, you know, spending half your life in airports. I don't enjoy that, but
airport sucks.
Yeah, but you know, for the time that you're on the stage, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So you could say that's a kind of, it doesn't have, it's a temporary buzz that doesn't have a lot of longevity. So you probably, out of the two, I like recording music and I like writing music. But then you can get a buzz off recording something and you know it's good and you go, yeah, and that's cool, that's cool. But even that wears off when you've heard the same song you've written fucking 600 times and you remixed it again and again and again and cut up the pieces. You think, well, maybe it's just more fun to go out and play it live. You know what I mean? You don't have to think about it so much, and it isn't just going round and round in your head.
Well, it is fun to go out and play it live. I mean, you can you know go off the reaction of the crowd and just exchange energies on stage. It's great. You know, I love that. I love
Yeah.
I live for that.
I
So we still
have
didn't answer which we preferred.
it's
like
it's all good. If I may ask, especially JJ, because I know that he likes to read and he likes to read a lot. So those two questions might be something for him. Which of the classic dystopias are more to your liking, or is more to your liking? 1984 or Brave New World?
Brave New World.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Can you explain why?
Yeah. I just found it more of I mean, from a reading perspective, I just found it more enjoyable. You know, just found it, just the whole story I liked a lot better. I mean, I'm not knocking 1984. 1984 was great as well, but yeah, I don't know. Brave New World just kind of resonated with me a bit.
Does anyone of the others have an opinion on that one?
What, Huxley? Is it Huxley, Brave New World?
Yeah.
Yeah, Aldous Huxley.
Yeah, I like that book. I also read his other book, Devils of Loudon, when he wrote the whole thing about the possession case in France. You ever read that, Devils of Loudon?
No, I've not read that one.
That was one of the first kind of things that I read of his. But I don't know which one I'd say was I prefer. I'd rather we had a nice non-dystopic future coming ahead with us, but which from these two dystopias, which one do you like the most? Well, neither of them look fucking great, do they, really?
The thing is, you know, one of the most modern dystopias that I've read was The Circle by Eggers, where basically more or less everybody agrees to give our identity to that little shithole that we just mentioned, the algorithm, and you know, we all accept it. You know, well, I was like,
kind of, we're there already, aren't we? Really?
What's it called?
Yeah, but when he wrote it, we were not yet. So it's like,
wasn't there a film of that? I think I saw a film.
Was it called? Would you say The Circle?
Yeah.
Okay.
The movie is not good. The book itself is good.
Yeah, I watched the movie.
That's the way with most.
I did see the movie. I did see the movie. It was all a bit Silicon Valley.
Been reading that one there.
Hey.
Ooh, yeah.
Ooh.
Nice.
Mm.
The Doors of Perception, Aldous Huxley, about LSD. And apparently that's where the band The Doors got their name from.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah. Mm. And didn't Sabbath also at one point mention... Didn't Sabbath also mention Huxley for their Heaven and Hell album? I'm not sure. I think I read something like that somewhere.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah.
If we stick to literature, and you know, we've just been talking a little bit about bleaker and darker sides. Which classic Gothic tale would you prefer? Frankenstein or Dracula?
For me personally, I like Frankenstein. Yeah. Do I need to elaborate on that?
No. Elaborate. No.
This is like
I don't have like a lot of input about it, but you know, yeah, it's kind of like I just like the whole idea of it, you know, making something from nothing, and you know, this guy like just with his madness, you know, putting it into this thing, and you know, that's kind of
and the fact that it's childlike as well. It's like a child.
Yeah, there's an innocence.
Yeah, it's kind of innocent. You got the story of the man-made monster or being.
Yeah.
Or you have the story of the upper classes feeding on the energy of the poor. which is
I feel like I could trust Frankenstein. I don't think I could trust
monster.
Dracula.
You
no, because he's a blue blood. You
The
can't
monster,
trust Dracula.
yeah. I feel like I could trust the monster.
Yeah,
Which
you
is
could have a
strange,
laugh
right? We
at
would say we would
Frankenstein,
trust
you
the
could have a
monster,
laugh
but
at
not the doctor. Says
Exactly.
a lot about
But I
yeah,
admire his work, you know. I admire and respect the Dr. Frankenstein for his work.
That's
excellent
Frankenstein.
work.
That's Frankenstein.
Frankenstein. Yeah,
well,
sorry.
if you go there, Mr. Mayorga, then it's Frankenstein. Frankenstein.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, he would
But,
know. Man. He would know.
I would
I'm
have
phrasing
to
no
choose.
Frankenstein.
If I had to choose, it would be Frankenstein, because the story was inspired by a place called Frankenstein, just like 30 kilometers away from here. So,
I didn't
and
know
from
that.
there they drove to, was it Geneva? I think Geneva, where they then wrote all those stories. So that would be my choice.
I
Last
thought it
two.
was-
You go ahead, Sticky.
I thought it was inspired from Mary Shelley's meeting with Lord Byron or something on the shores of Lake Geneva, but I could be wrong.
Well, it basically is the result of a competition. You know, it was Mary Shelley, her husband, Byron, and I think there were two other authors who were traveling with them, and they agreed to do a competition, and it was only one goal: who could write the scariest story. Mary's
yeah.
is the only story that survived, more or less. You know,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
all agreed, okay, winner by far. And I think it's also one of the few books that she's ever written. So good legacy.
Yeah.
Two
Yeah.
more, as I said. When you could choose any drink right now, wine or beer?
Beer.
I can't drink either, so I'd probably. What would you like? Or you can have it. I'll get you another beer. There you go.
2 beers for JJ.
Yeah.
Stereo drinking. Stick and Roy, what would you choose?
I don't drink anymore, but if I did drink, I'd probably choose wine more so these days, just because I don't feel so shit on it. And yeah, I think wine. It's like wine's like liquid sunshine, isn't it? It's got a certain energy to it. Where the sunlight is absorbed.
You really
you know?
selling it to me.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, if I had to have a drink, it would be wine and not beer.
I would choose red wine as well, but really I would actually go for more vodka and soda and lime.
Very specific.
I don't like all the I don't like all the sugar. That's the thing. Sugar.
Oh, yeah.
That's. But I do love
So
wine in my food.
Last one, as like a little nod to the boss of your record label. Which New Roses record do you rather listen to? Souls at Zero or Through Silver and Blood?
Souls at Zero.
Yeah, I'm with Roy there. I'm with Roy.
That's like my favorite Neurosis album of all time is that one. And Word is Law. Those first three,
okay.
Pain and Mind, Word is Law, Souls at Zero. Those are like those are my records.
That was also a different kind of Neurosis back then, right?
Yeah.
JP, JJ, which one would you choose?
Soul Zero.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
That opening track.
It's not taking away anything from the other albums.
Yeah.
But that's
I mean, like,
obviously
a band
it
without
hits hard.
any flaw, right, in their discography, I have to say, if you ask me. Every record.
And they're the
good.
only band that can play an entire album every tour cycle and never play any of their old stuff or nothing. They always play just the current record that they put out. They're the only band that could do that and get away with it, and people love it. Because most bands that go out there and play an album in their entirety usually pisses the fans off. But Neurosis fans, they go there and they expect what they're going to see is that current record top to bottom. It's incredible. Watching him play Souls at Zero top to bottom. Watching him play Pain of Mind top to bottom. Watching him play Word is Law top to bottom. I mean, fuck. They're incredible, that band.
Also because all those records have like a different
to me, they were like the Pink Floyd of punk rock. I say they're like the Pink Floyd of punk rock.
Interesting way of putting it.
I've always called them that.
Yeah.
King Crimson meets Pink Floyd punk rock.
Yeah. That's a very good description. Very good cornerstone. So, guys, thanks for all the information. Thanks for the wonderful record. For everybody who is watching this or listening to us on Spotify, if you haven't checked out Let Them Eat Fake by False Fat, which is already out nearly 2 months when you are listening to this one, please, immediately after finishing this little interview here, go to your favorite streaming service of your choice, or go to Bandcamp or wherever you want to go. Listen to the record. You will find, first of all, great music. Second of all, food for thought, which is always good. If you like what we do here, maybe give us a little subscription here on YouTube or wherever. Give us maybe a follow or a like on our socials, Facebook and Instagram. If you want to support us a little bit more, go to our Patreon. Now, everyone gets one last final sentence. Because I know you guys can talk a lot and I love that, but it's 9 o'clock. So, Stick, let's start with you. Your chance for final last words.
Last words about what?
Okay, that's it. Roy.
That's it.
It's like we're about to die or something.
Yeah, it's like,
Your last word.
No, it's just the way we always end.
What is your last meal?
can I have a cigarette?
My last meal was pumpkin soup. Thank you. So, Roy, anything that you want to get out to the people who listen to your music?
No, just go listen
Good.
to the music. That's it.
Cool.
Yeah.
JP, JJ, anything last to say?
Thanks for watching and listening, and go buy the album.
What he said.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for
you,
supporting
everyone.
what we do and believing in what we're doing, and just supporting the album.
And we'll be out there soon. Play it live.
Yeah.
Buy
Out
some
and live.
vinyl. Buy some vinyl.
So, thanks. Guys, thanks for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day. So, have a good one, boys.
Nice talking to you. All the best.
You guys.
Bye-bye.
See ya.